Hello friends, this is Sanjay. In today's video, we will do an analysis of some interesting numbers from the CTET examination. The intent behind the analysis and the information that I'm going to be sharing with you is to give you an idea as to what is the kind of exam that you're preparing for and help in starting your preparation for the upcoming CTET. So let's get started. For the purpose of this video, we will be looking at the 6 most recent CTET examinations, starting from September 2016 all the way till the most recent exam that was held in December 2021. Now the December 2021 examination was the first exam that was held in an online mode. So this exam was actually conducted over a period of 23 days. It started sometime in the mid of December 21 and continued all the way till the mid of Jan 2022. And you'll see that there are some gaps in this number. That is, there were no examination that was held in the year 2017. For whatever reason, the 2017 CTET examination had to be cancelled. And there is also a gap here in the year 2020 because the 2020 examination had to be postponed due to the ongoing pandemic, and the exam was finally conducted in Jan 2021. So these are the 6 most recent examinations in a series. The one question that we can answer by looking at this particular graph is how popular is the CTET examination. So as you can see, in September 2016, 7.07 lakh candidates registered for the exam, and there was a sharp increase in the numbers for the year 2018 because the December 2018 exam saw 23.23 lakh candidates registering for the CTET, and the trend has been increasing year on year. And the latest iteration of the exam in December 2021 saw 35.55 lakhs candidates registering for the CTET. Now, the sharp increase in 2018 might be because there was no exam conducted in 2017. So those candidates also took the exam in 2018. But in any case, you can see that the numbers are increasing by lakhs of candidates every year. A couple of other things that you can quickly glance in this graph, which we will be talking about in detail later on, is that not all the candidates who register for the exam actually appear for the exam. That is, you can see that the number of candidates who actually appear for the exam is less than the candidates who actually register for the exam. So there is a significant amount of dropout which happens, which we will discuss later. And also, if you look at the overall number of candidates who have qualified in the CTET, you see that even that has shown an increasing trend. So we'll talk about the specific numbers in the next couple of slides. And before we move on, just the last set of numbers that I'd like to touch upon here is that if you look at the actual number of candidates who qualified for the CTET examination, in 2016, around 70,000 candidates actually qualified across both the papers. Whereas if you look at the most recent examination, you can see that around 6.66 lakh candidates actually qualified across both the papers. So there has been almost a 10-fold increase between these 2 years. Now the reason I wanted to mention these numbers is this shows the kind of competition that is arising with regards to the number of people who are CTET qualified. And this is something that we will discuss in some of the next slides. This slide gives us a couple of interesting perspectives about why did the CTET become so popular and when did this popularity actually start? The CTET examination started in 2011 and the first exam was conducted in June of 2011. And this exam saw 7.60 lakh candidates actually appearing for the exam. And the next year saw around 9 lakh candidates who appeared. Now this slight increase might be because teachers were given a 2-year time limit in which they had to clear the CTET, and so many of the working teachers also took up this exam. And after that the numbers kind of slowly declined, right? But still on an average they were around the 7 lakh range. And in December 2018 there was a sharp uptick. That is, in September 2016, if 5.79 lakh candidates actually appeared for the exam, in December 2018, 19.52 lakh candidates actually appeared. Now this sharp increase can be probably attributable to 2 main reasons. One is because the 2017 exam was not conducted, So candidates who would have taken the exam then also shifted to the December 2000 exam. And also we are told that in this period, many of the states did not conduct their state level TET examination. So the candidates who would have taken the TET in states like Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Karnataka, J&K also shifted over and took the CTET examination. So that might be the reason why the numbers saw such a sharp increase. But in any case, once the numbers have increased, just like the petrol prices in India, what has gone up has stayed up, and the numbers have actually increased year on year. And in the latest iteration in December 2021, we saw 27.74 lakh candidates actually appearing for the exam. There is also one more reason for the increasing popularity of the CTET. That is, the state level TET examinations have seen quite a few issues in the recent years. For example, the Maharashtra TET had a scam, and many people got arrested because of that. And the UP TET examination was also cancelled due to a paper leak, and many people were arrested. And even the Assam TET was also being investigated for a possible paper leak. So in all these cases, the candidates who are preparing for the exam or who have taken this exam, it means that the results are not published, the exam is cancelled, and the candidates end up wasting a lot of time because they are not eligible to apply for any of the teacher roles or the teacher posts that are coming up in that year. Therefore, instead of taking the state level TET examination, a lot of candidates seem to be moving over or shifting towards the CTET because the CTET is conducted in a more stringent manner, and they can be sure that the exam will be conducted and the result will be mostly released in time. Therefore, looking at the status of many of the state level TET examination, a lot of these candidates are also shifting over towards the CTET, and that also is one of the reasons why the number of candidates in CTET is increasing year on year. And there is a strong reason to believe that the number of candidates taking up the CTET will only keep on increasing over the next few years. Because in line with the National Education Policy of 2020, the NCTE has decided to make it mandatory that all teachers have to qualify either in the TET or the CTET. As we discussed earlier, the popularity of the TETs seems to be decreasing because a lot of candidates prefer to take the CTET rather than the TET because there is a higher degree of certainty with the CTET. Now, with this new changes that all teachers have to mandatorily take up TET or CTET, and if CTET is the preferred examination, and all the postgraduate teachers who currently are not required to take the CTET and who are actually teaching for classes 9 to 12 also end up taking this exam, then it means that most of them will prefer to take the CTET. And at this level, if they are taking the exam, they will take up the complete exam. That is, if for postgraduate teachers, a separate paper is introduced, like paper 3 maybe, right? Then they will take paper 3, and because they are already prepared for the paper 3 level, they will also take the paper 2 and the paper 1. So which means that the overall popularity of the CTET exam will increase across all levels, paper 1, 2 and 3, which means the overall competition will also increase because now you have more number of candidates qualifying at each level. And also NCTE is bringing about some changes in the overall test structure, and they are looking at bringing in the changes in line with this new education policy, which means that this CTET examination itself will undergo some changes in terms of the syllabus, the pattern, and maybe even the scoring levels. So which means that the complexity will increase. The exam might become a little more difficult over the next few years. So these are a couple of things that you should keep in mind when we discuss the next few slides. There have also been some recent developments in the state TET level across multiple states, which might also have an effect on the overall CTET numbers. For example, in Karnataka, there was a recent amendment which now says that even engineering graduates will be allowed to write the TET. Even though a B.Ed degree is still mandatory, there is some rumor that even this B.Ed degree requirement might be dropped, and engineering graduates might be allowed to directly write the TET examination. Now, if this happens at a TET level, similar changes might happen to CTET also sometime in the future. And even in Tamil Nadu, the state government has issued an order that engineering graduates with a B.Ed will be allowed to sit for the TET, and they will be eligible to become mathematics teachers. And even the Telangana High Court recently clarified that candidates with a B.Tech, which is an engineering degree, and a B.Ed qualification are eligible for PGT and TGT posts. So which means that even these candidates might actually need to take the CTET or the TET. So all these changes at some point will start affecting the CTET, and the overall popularity of this exam will keep on increasing, which means that the number of candidates taking this exam will also increase. This graph gives us a simple snapshot of the popularity of papers 1 versus paper 2. That is, in the most recent exam that was held, the number of candidates taking up paper 1 was 14.96 lakhs, which is almost close to 15 lakhs. And the number of candidates who actually appeared for paper 2 was 12.78 lakhs. So almost a little more than 2 lakh difference between the number of candidates who appeared for both these papers. So traditionally, candidates would register for both the papers, but might actually end up taking only paper 1 because they are more prepared for paper 1 than for paper 2. So that's probably one of the reasons why you see the number of candidates appearing for paper 1 is generally more than the number of candidates appearing for paper 2. In this slide, we are looking at the graph which has been based on the overall number of candidates who are qualifying in the CTET examination across these years. In September 2016, just around 70,000 candidates actually qualified in the CTET. It might be just for paper 1 or just for paper 2 or maybe paper 1 plus paper 2. And year on year, the number of candidates clearing the CTET or qualifying in the CTET has also been increasing. In 2018, it was 3.05 lakh candidates, and in 2019, it was 3.52 lakhs. And in December 2019, it was 5.42 lakhs. And in January 2021, it was 6.54 lakhs. And in the most recent exam, that was in December 2021, 6.66 lakh candidates cleared the CTET. So, which means that there has been a tenfold increase in the number of candidates who are qualifying in the CTET, starting from 70,000 to 6,66,000, which is almost close to 7 lakhs. Now, these are raw numbers, so they don't give us a complete picture. That is, we have to look at them contextually, because if say 3.05 lakh candidates qualified in the exam, we also have to look at how many candidates actually appeared in the exam in that particular year. So these raw numbers don't give us a good picture of what is actually happening in the exam. But these raw numbers are useful for one thing. That is, when we look at these, the number of candidates who have cleared the CTET, and we consider the recent development where the CTET certification is now valid for a lifetime, it means that all these candidates are in the market. In the sense, all of these are CTET qualified candidates. So as long as they don't hit the age bar, all of these candidates will be eligible to apply for various teacher posts. So the reason why these numbers are important is because with this kind of competition and with these kind of numbers being added every year in terms of the CTET qualified candidates, it means that just clearing the CTET is not good enough. Going forward, the CTET marks are also going to play a very important role in the entire qualification process. Therefore, you should aim at not just clearing the CTET, but you should aim at clearing the CTET with as many marks as possible. This graph is actually showing us the percentage of candidates who cleared the exam, the CTET exam, in these particular years. Now, this might be candidates who just cleared paper 1 or just paper 2 or paper 1 and 2 both. Now, in September 2016, around 12.01% of the candidates who appeared for the exam managed to clear it or qualify in the CTET. And the numbers have shown an increasing trend over the years. And in Jan 2021, we reached a maximum pass rate of 27.82%. And then in December 2021, it has dipped. And here we come down to 23.99%. Now, is it because the December 2021 paper was more difficult, or is it because candidates were finding it difficult to cope with the new online mode of the exam, or is it because of the normalization process that was done to to release the results. So there might be multiple reasons as to why the pass percentage has dipped. But in general, we can see that the number of candidates clearing the exam year on year has increased. And whether these increasing trend will continue over the next year, or whether the numbers will continue to fall in the upcoming exam, so that's something which we'll have to wait and watch. Continuing on the topic of the percentage of candidates who actually managed to clear the CTET out of the total number of candidates who appeared in the exam in those particular years, the most recent dip in numbers, that is from the 27 odd percentage in Jan 2021 to the most recent 23.99%. If this dip in numbers is because of the increasing difficulty in the paper, or because of the normalization process, or because the new online mode is going to be more difficult, then as a student you should be more thorough and diligent in your preparation. The amount of time that you spend in the preparation should increase, and you should also practice in an online mode where you practice online mock tests so that you are ready for the new mode. And you should also factor in that the normalization process might actually reduce your overall raw scores. So you should have a comfortable margin of error. Therefore, you should try to maximize your scores across paper 1 and paper 2. And going back to the historical trend of the increasing pass percentage, there is one more reason that might be behind this. That is, if you read an old article from the Economic Times from November of 2015, there is a mention that the government was concerned that the number of candidates who managed to clear the CTET was quite low. Just around 7 or 8% of the candidates were managing to clear the CTET at that time. And there was an increasing number of teacher vacancies across various states that had to be filled. Therefore, the government was actually looking at how to make the CTET more easy, so that more number of candidates are successful. Therefore, that might be the reason why the number showed an increase over the last few years. But with the new changes that happened due to the normalization and due to the online mode of the exam, that might be the reason why the numbers have gone down. In any case, make sure that your preparation is increased. That is, if you are just aiming at clearing the exam, that is no longer enough. You have to prepare so that you clear with as many marks as possible. In this slide, we are comparing the pass percentage between paper 1 and paper 2. And when you look at the actual question paper and try to solve it, or when you look at the data that is being represented here in terms of the pass percentage, you will see that in general, the pass percentage for paper 1 will be higher than the pass percentage for paper 2. Now, 2019 is an aberration. For some reason, the pass percentage in paper 2 was significantly higher than paper 1 in this specific year. But if you look at any of the other years, then you'll see that the pass percentage in paper 1 is going to be higher, because paper 1 is relatively more simpler than paper 2. So if you are starting your preparation and if you do not have enough time, you should first focus on paper 1 so that you clear at least paper 1 this year, and the next year you can prepare in detail more thoroughly for paper 2. So if you have enough time, prepare for both the papers. If you don't have enough time, then prepare for paper 1 first, clear it, and then focus on paper 2. When I was looking at the CTET numbers, the pass percentage numbers, I also looked at one more interesting percentage, that is the percentage of candidates who registered but not appeared in the examination. That is, these candidates have either paid the fees for paper 1 or paper 2 or both the papers, but did not actually turn up in the exam. If you look at it, the registered not appeared numbers have been fluctuating over the years. But on an average, around 20% of the candidates who pay the fees for either paper 1 or paper 2 or both don't actually come to the exam. So 1 out of 5 candidates is actually dropping out. This might be because during the beginning of the year, when candidates have enough time to start their preparation, they actually don't start the preparation. They will postpone it. They will say, I will start from next week, or I will start from next month, or some candidates will wait till the actual notification comes out and only they'll start the preparation then. So what is happening is, by the time the exam gets closer and closer and closer, the pressure on you also keeps on increasing. So which means that the preparation actually will start suffering, because you are psychologically putting pressure on yourself that you don't have enough time. So the best way to deal with this is start your preparation as early as possible. Don't wait for the notification, don't wait for anything else. Start your preparation, practice as many mock tests and previous question papers as possible, and be ready for the exam. And slow and steady wins the race. So don't wait for the last minute. And if you have paid the money, and if for any reason you are not prepared and if you are not confident, even then, don't give up. Go and write the exam, because there is always a possibility that it might be an easy paper and you might be able to clear it. Or even if you don't clear it, at least you will get a practice of the real exam, which will definitely help you in the next attempt. Looking a little more deeper into the registered not appeared percentages for papers 1 and paper 2, we see that the dropout percentage for paper 1 is always less than that for paper 2, because when candidates start preparing for the exam, they realize that paper 1 is far more simpler and straightforward as compared to paper 2. And they decide that since they are not prepared well enough, they will drop out of the exam for paper 2. Now, as I was saying, since paper 1 is going to be easier, use a strategy where you prepare for paper 1 as thoroughly as possible. If you can spare enough time, then you can prepare for both the papers at the same time. Even otherwise, just prepare for paper 1 and make sure that you are thoroughly prepared for that, because at least one should be in your box. And then start looking at paper 2, because paper 2 is more of an extension of paper 1 preparation. Therefore, once you are thoroughly prepared for paper 1, you can use that as a base for preparing for paper 2, and then you will be comfortable with both the papers. So start your preparation early, start with paper 1, make sure that you solve as many previous question papers and mock tests as possible, at least once, and then move to paper 2 and start your focus on paper 2 as well. So if you find that your preparation time is not enough to take care of paper 2 as well, then you can ignore paper 2 for the current year, come back to paper 1, clear it, and the next year you can move to paper 2. So use this as your preparation strategy. Looking at the breakdown of the numbers specifically for paper 1, that is the registered, appeared and the qualified numbers, there is nothing quite special to talk about in this slide, because the overall numbers are very similar to what the aggregate numbers have already shown us. That is, the total number of candidates registering for the exam has been increasing year on year, and the dropout rate, that is the difference between the registered candidates and the actual appeared candidates, is also consistent year on year at around 20%. And the pass percentage has also shown an increasing trend for paper 1. Now if you look at the most recent exam, 18.92 lakh candidates actually registered for the exam, whereas only 14.96 lakh candidates actually appeared in the exam, out of which 4.45 lakh candidates managed to clear paper 1 in the most recent exam. And when we look at the percentage of candidates in paper 1 who managed to qualify, you can see that up to December 2019, the numbers were kind of on a lower side, and they were hovering around the 15-16%. Whereas in Jan 2021, the numbers spiked, and we saw a 33.26% of success rate. And then in December 2021, the numbers dipped down, and this is where we came down to 29.79%. So on the whole, you can say that the pass percentage for paper 1 has been on the higher side, and you can see that even now around almost 30% of the candidates who appear for this exam get through in paper 1. So this should be our first target. And moving on to the breakdown of the numbers for paper 2 in terms of the registered, appeared and qualified, we see that the overall numbers as such, there are no surprises here. It is showing an increasing trend, and the number of candidates registering for the exam has been increasing year on year. And the gap between the registered and appeared, which is actually the dropout rate, has been fluctuating a little, and in the 2 recent years, we see that there is a higher level of dropouts in Jan 2021 and December 2021. Now this might be because the most recent paper 2s might be more difficult, or students are not well prepared. So whatever might be the reason, the dropout rate seems to have increased in the recent past. And when we look at the past percentage or the past numbers in these years, we see that that has been fluctuating. In a sense, it has not shown the kind of year-on-year increase that we have seen in paper 1. We see that there has been a slight decrease here, and then again it increases, then again it comes down. So this has not been showing a consistently increasing trend as we have seen in paper 1. So that might be because paper 2 is fundamentally a little more difficult than paper 1. So paper 1 should be your first target and paper 2 should be your second target. Moving on to the qualified candidates as a percentage of the number of candidates who took that paper in these specific years, we see that initially for the 3 years that we are looking at, that is 2016, 18 and 19, the pass percentage was hovering between 11% to 14%. Whereas in 2019, the pass percentage shot up and it reached 29.74%. Now, for CTET as an exam and for paper 1 as well, Jan 2021 was the highest pass percentage, because across CTET, both the papers, in this year, the pass percentage was close to 28%. However, for paper 2, for some strange reason, there was a spike in the pass percentage in December 2019 and the numbers was 29.74%. After that, it has dropped down significantly. In Jan 2021, the pass percentage was around 21.69% and it has come down further. Whereas in the most recent exam, it has come down to 17.22%. So this goes to show that paper 2 seems to be more difficult than paper 1, which we have already discussed, and paper 2, the type of questions seem to be fluctuating, where in some years it is more difficult than other years, so which might explain why these numbers are fluctuating so drastically when it comes to paper 2 as against to paper 1, which is more consistent. So your target has to be paper 1 and your second target has to be paper 2. So moving on to the most important question, that is when is the best time to start your preparation for the CTET? I would say the best time to start your preparation is now. Why? Because as we have seen in one of the previous slides, as the number of people clearing the CTET is increasing year on year, it also means that the competition is increasing. Therefore, the faster you clear your CTET and the faster you start applying for the jobs, the better it is for you. Therefore, you should prepare now and clear the exam as soon as possible. You should also consider the increasing complexity, because with the new national education policy and the national curriculum framework that is going to come in, the complexity of the overall exam might increase. And with all these NCF and NEP, the syllabus also might change. Therefore, it is better to clear the exam with the old syllabus which you are already familiar with. And there might also be some changes in the pattern, especially if now CTET is going to be made mandatory across all levels. Then a new paper 3 also might get introduced, and paper 1 and paper 2 also might see some changes. So there might be some tweaks in the pattern. Therefore, it is better to clear the exam right now when you are thoroughly familiar with the pattern. And given the fact that the validity of the qualification or the eligibility of the qualification has been changed to a lifetime validity, then it means that the faster you clear your CTET, you can be done with it and focus on your job applications and other things that you wish to do. Therefore, the simple answer on when should you start your preparation for the CTET, the answer would be now. Start your preparation now, take the exam at the next possible opportunity and clear it as soon as possible, and clear both the papers. If you can clear both the papers in one attempt. Otherwise, clear paper 1 first and then paper 2 and be done with it. So that's about it for this video. If you have any questions, comments or feedback, please post them below in the comments, and please do like this video, and please do subscribe to our channel and press on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notifications of any of the upcoming videos that we are going to be posting regularly. And if any of your friends are preparing for the same exam, then please do share this video with them so that you can help them out as well. So thank you, stay safe, and I will see you soon in the next video.